Hey everybody. Very long time since I have been on YouTube, so apologies for that. It's been quite the chaotic year for everybody. So I took a little peek into some of the comments. I'm going to start getting back to you guys. It's just had to kind of go to the side for a bit here. But this request is from Julie B, and it's regarding body language. So I've touched on it in other videos, my fascination with body language. And, a 10-minute video is not going to cover it all, but I wanted to point out a great resource, which is Joe Navarro. He's got a couple of books, but I think it's the one that's the most used is What Your Body Is Saying. And correct me if I'm wrong, make sure to put it in the comments. I have the book, I just can't find it. So anyways, I decided to kind of sit a little bit back so then we could talk a little bit while demonstrating. Reason why I bring up Joe is I stumbled on his book and he is very good at plain language terms with regards to this. Joe came from Cuba to the States and didn't know how to speak English, so he had this heightened sense of trying to make sense of what people were saying to him by using cues that these people were doing. And I think that's a really practical, interesting way of doing it because you have to rely on that other sense that you kind of take for granted. And I feel in a way it's somewhat similar to maybe an INTJ, where we are taking in a lot of information, but at the same time, we are not great at the verbal subtexts that come in to play in a regular exchange. And we usually kind of have to take it back and analyze it later. So with body language, the more you kind of have an idea about what certain tells are, then you're able to hopefully get to the context more quickly. The other thing I'm going to keep looking at my notes because I haven't done this forever. With regards to us, we want to use it as well as a tool for others. We've talked before about how we don't necessarily always have the best articulation, I guess, when it comes to dealing with sensitive topics or dealing with people that are potentially more sensitive to just direct conversation. So being able to present yourself and be a little bit more aware of what you're presenting to people, it's a better way of trying to, I guess, symbolize what you want to project. So with that, I wanted to just touch on a couple of main things regarding body language that I have found, and also it seemed to be it resonated when I was reading the other information that is out there. So one of the first things that is of value is before you even engage with a person, take the time to go and watch them when they enter a space. So when I say that, it's not staring at them, but kind of look and see what they're wearing and how are they maintained? Are they, scruffy? Are they wearing baggy clothes? Are they wearing too tight clothes? Do they have a ton of makeup on? Do they have no makeup on? Are their shoes scuffed? The reason why I'm saying this is because you're starting the baseline of what you are going to start building off of when you get to the dialogue part. So the baseline is super important. A lot of us do it already. We just take it for granted. Again, and keep it in the subconscious. And that's, as an INTJ, you are building that library of information in there that you will, use to ascribe to multiple people, good or bad, because that's where you can make stereotypes very easily. But at least it's somewhere to start. Also look at their height, look at their walk, look at their facial expressions when they're coming in. If they're coming into a room and their head's down and they're focused, not on a phone, that could be that they're busy in thought and therefore might not be able to transition quickly to talk to you. Other things are the way the gait is, how loose they are, as opposed to being closed off, hands in pockets, and kind of fidgeting, that type of thing. So you're getting a lot of information. I'll go into high level details on that in a second. With regards to this component, you're going to go and meet this person. So you already have a baseline. Then we have it where you start engaging. And it doesn't matter if it is a business event, which hopefully at some point we'll be able to maybe do again, or actually as INTJs, we'd probably be good without it. But it is important for key contacts and to build those relationships in order to progress with your career. Anyways, as an aside. But this goes down to even playing with babies. Babies pick up on cues because they don't understand what you're saying yet. So these types of things are all important to be more cognizant of, as opposed to just absorbing it and not analyzing it. Plus, I have to say as an aside, INTJs, we love to analyze. So the more things that we can kind of put in the toolkit, and actually it's, for myself anyways, it's kind of really fascinating when you take the context in as opposed to just letting things happen. So you're meeting this individual, you're going to start paying attention to how they greet you. So I just did a video on handshakes, if we ever have them again. But handshakes are so important because, and it's too bad we can't do them right now, because of showing your vulnerability. So when you shake a hand, I mean, we could do a video just on handshakes. The way you position your hand, the way the other person positions their hand. Are they trying to take the ownership of that handshake? Do they double over on that handshake? This can be a sign of aggression or a sign of trying to be the alpha in the conversation, but it also can be a sign of respect and care. It totally depends, again, on your baseline. So certain cultures, they do hold your hand like this. And in certain cultures, you also, as a female, might be a little bit looser. There's other cultures where you can't touch your palms. These are all things that come into the context. So those are up to you on how much you want to go into it. However, so you start engaging, you're looking at their feet, you're looking at their hands. So are their feet, if you're standing up, are their feet pointed towards you? That's a good sign. That means they're engaged. If they're pointing away, pretty much a sign that they're trying to move on to the next person. Doesn't mean they don't like you, but it's probably that they're trying to get as many contacts in as they can. And they're trying to be polite without offending you. One thing to note too regarding that, if you are in a situation where you do say you're hosting a gathering, when we can do that, and you have to go and work the room, it is not offensive to simply say, hey, so sorry, so great to meet you, or so good to see you. I gotta go and check on this, but we'll catch up later. I think too many people drag out those conversations before they're necessary. Don't ask me what just happened there. Anyways, the other thing is pay attention to their eyes. So there's a lot of controversy about, can you tell a liar? And a lot of studies came back where 50-50 chance. So one thing that is essential for hearing or understanding if someone is not telling the truth or being evasive is how their baseline was beforehand. So if you're talking about their kids and they passionate about their kids, they'll be looking directly. You'll understand whether or not they have this tendency to look certain ways. So I hear quite a bit in comments about how I look this way, and I'm kind of looking in different corners and that type of thing. And that could indicate that someone is being evasive or lying. However, another actual comment came up where it's like they do the same thing, and it's usually because one side is remembering one, and I'm not saying which one is which. Look in the book. One side is trying to put words together, and every person is a little bit unique. So with that, it's up to you to see if there is synergy between what you're hearing and what they're saying with their expressions while they're doing it. The other one I wanted to quickly say too is pay attention to things like aggression cues. So they'll start leaning in like this, or they'll be like being more of a hostile stance, pursing lips, things like that. The other option too is when you're talking about, people that are trying to comfort themselves. This is a massive one. So they'll either adjust their collar, they'll touch their neck, they'll touch their hair, they might play with their hair, they will do this a lot. If you see someone that has that's going and having some anxiety, like actually just the other day, my husband was doing that while we were playing cards. And I asked him, I'm like, is everything okay? Because that's like a comforting measure. And he's like, yeah, everything's fine. But his body is demonstrating this. So he must have had something on his mind that wasn't important to me, he might think, but it was something that was needing him to comfort himself. The other one that is also not necessarily accurate is the one where you're crossing your arms. So personally, I don't do this. That's because I'm really tall, and this can come across as hostile or impenetrable, like you're trying to build that wall. And that leads me to the point of the anxiety thing. A lot of people tend to, like, other than just being cold, they'll sit and they'll hold themselves like this, or like this, or like this, in a way that they're trying to cover their core essential area. And that is a sign for you to take note and say that person is either uncomfortable or that person is going through something and they need to cover up or protect themselves. I mean, they're not going to be doing this. The other thing that I would quickly say about the face is when people do this, or that's either they're trying to say something, they're excited, they're like, I can't wait, I gotta get in, but I'm respecting your space, or they're like, oh my gosh, that person just said that. And that's usually tied with pursed lips, where it's like you might have just burned a bridge over something like that. So again, based on the total cues of that person, you will be able to have a sense if you've overstepped or something along those lines, where then you're able to potentially salvage that conversation. Just don't try to over-explain things in that case. Just looking at my notes here, keep an eye finally on feet and hands when it comes to fidgeting. So are they doing this? Like, are they cracking their knuckles, or are they, twisting? Are they just manipulating their fingers, or are they shaking their foot a lot? You can't see it because I can't get the right shot to show that, but those are signs that something is either on their mind, or something in the conversation or situation is uncomfortable, or they are thinking just completely about something else that is causing them to feel like they have to move or feel like they have to go do that thing. I notice for myself, I absolutely do that when I feel have to start getting something going and I've been procrastinating it. I will absolutely start shaking my foot. And that's my cue to myself that I have to, move on. A tip that I would throw out to you too, if you're interested in learning more about body language, just more organically, and it's something Joe also mentions in his book to an extent, is to go find like a great actor, whatever you perceive as a great actor. I'll say like Meryl Streep or something like that, someone that can change into a role, and go and analyze without volume a clip of one of those movies, because then you can start saying, oh, she acts like this in this one, this in this one. She's trying to portray that person. Well, how did she do that? Body language. The body language is again, synergy with the body language and what's coming out of their mouth. So for an INTJ, I'll leave you with this. That is such a huge benefit for us. So it satisfies our interest in learning and understanding things. Also, it helps us with bridging gaps regarding perception due to the way that we talk or the way that we might carry ourselves, as well as we are able to take more control in how we're projecting ourselves out into the world. And I think that is, when it all comes down to it, that's the biggest value, is being as authentic as you can be, and also have that self-possession so that you can understand what you're projecting to other people and be more comfortable with it. So owning who you are, kind of thing. Anyways, great one. I could literally go forever on those. As always, so great that you wonderful folk are here with me. And as always as well, leave your comments and video requests in the comment section. Just make sure video requests so then I can make sure that I capture it. Thanks so much.